Yes, good morning once again. I come back again in my second lesson of the day. And now I'm going to handle the topic of pie charts. I'm going to handle the topic of pie charts, class 7 and class 8 work. So my dear students, wherever you are, be keen and learn how to work it out. How to work out a problem associated with the pie chart. My objective is only one. By the end of my lesson, a learner should be able to work out problems associated with pie charts. That's the only objective that I want to achieve at the end of my single lesson. First, a pie chart represents a total of 360 degrees. 360 degrees is equivalent to a whole pie chart. Remember, pie chart is just like a circle, and a circle has 360 degrees. Sometimes you are given information and you are told, represent this information in a pie chart. If a pie chart was to be drawn, what angle would represent this? If a pie chart was to be drawn, what angle would represent A, B, C, or D? So I want to start by working out a few examples so that you may understand how to represent information in a pie chart. Mr. Abdi says 15% of his income. This one is just an example. This is Abdi who says 15% of his income. He only says 15%. That means he's using the rest of the percentage, which is 85%. He spends 30% on food. Food he spends 30%. Then he spends 20% on house rent. He's also paying rent. He uses 20% of his salary to pay rent. Then 25% to pay school fees. He uses 25% to pay school fees. Then the rest of the percentage is taken by transport. So if a pie chart was to be drawn, what angle will represent the saving? What angle will represent food and so forth? So now, because the whole percentage should add up to 100%. In our case here now, you are supposed to get the total of the percentages of what you are given first. When you add all this, you get 90%. That means for you to get the percentage on transport, because we are told the rest is used on transport, that means now you just take 100%, take away 90%, which is the same as 10%. That means the percentage on transport is only 10%. Is only 10%. I repeat again, the total percentages should add up to 100%. And the total degrees in a pie chart should add up to 360 degrees. Underline somewhere. Write somewhere at the back of your book, and please make sure you understand the major points when dealing with the pie chart. Question M. What fraction of his income does he spend on all this? Let us now, what fraction of his income does he spend on a saving? So now, what fraction of his income does he spend on saving? When you look at my question here now, he only says 15%. And now here the examiner needs to know the fraction of savings. So to get the fraction of each one of them, because it's percentage now, to get the fraction of saving, you say 15%, which is the same as 15 over 100. Now, then you don't leave the answer like that. You have to simplify. In my case here now, by 5 will go 3 times. By 5 will go 20 times. In my case now here, the fraction of salary which is spent on saving is only 3/20. That's how you get the fractions on saving. What fraction does he spend on food? Let us go to food. What fraction does he spend on food? Food, we are told it's only 30%. So if you need to get the fraction of food, you say now 30/100. 30%. 0 will go to 0. Because 3 cannot simplify 10, then you leave your answer like that. So in my case here now, the fraction that I'm spending on food is only 3/10. Now, what fraction does he spend on rent? What fraction of his salary does he spend on rent? The same thing we have done to saving, we do to food. So on rent now, it will be now 20%, which is 20/100. Then you simplify. 0 will go with 0, 21/25. So here he's spending only 1/5 of his salary on rent. The next one now is school fees. What fraction does he spend on school fees? When you look at my question there, rent fees is only 25%. 25 out of 100, which is 25 out of 100. You have to simplify this by 25 once, by 25 will go 4 times. This one is only a quarter. So the fraction of school fees is only a quarter. What fraction does he spend on transport? Now that is part of your assignment. I've given you for fraction for saving, food, rent, and school fees. So now we have the fraction for transport. Now that is your assignment at your own time. You find the fraction of the salary which is spent on transport. Another question which is very common in the exam now on the issue of pie chart now. If all this information was to be represented on a pie chart, I repeat again, if all this information is to be represented on a pie chart, what angle would represent saving? What angle would represent the rest in a pie chart? So now, this is another question. If a pie chart was to be drawn, if a pie chart was to be drawn, what angle would represent a savings? Look at that question now. Suppose you want to present this information in a pie chart. What angle would represent saving? Remember I said pie chart is just like a circle. So we have a circle just like this. This is an example of a pie chart. We want to present all our information in that pie chart. I said initially that a pie chart has a total of 306 degrees. Because the total percentage is 100%, then there must be the stem of the question. The basic thing that you must understand before you work out. Because it's the same stem that you will use to work out all the problem. Total percentage is 100%. And the total degrees is 360 degrees. That means 100% is equivalent to 360 degrees. Now, what about the percentage of saving now? What about 15%? Now, once you cross multiply, you get the number of degrees representing savings in a pie chart. In my case here now, I have 15 multiplied by 360, then divided by 100. I'm now going to get the degrees represented in saving, which is 0, we'll go with 0, by 5, 2, by 5, 3, then by 2, 1, by 2, 18. Class 18 multiplied by 3, it will be 54 degrees. So in my case here now, the angle represented saving is only 54 degrees. Now, question B. Question B, if a pie chart was to be drawn what angle would represent food? Food was 30%. If was 30%. So now B, this question A, B is food. If a pie chart was to be drawn, what angle represented food? According to our question now, food was only 20%. Only 20%. Now, if food was 20%, now the same of the question, you must understand the key point in each and every question. The key point is this: 100% is equivalent to 360 degrees. What about food, which was only 20%? So how much degrees will represent food? In my case, here again, you cross multiply. But I want you to note of the basic and important stem of that question. You must be able to equate the number of degrees and maybe the total percentage. They must be equivalent. In my case here now, I have 20 multiplied by 360 divided by 100. In my case here now, food be represented by 72 degrees. That is now, if a pie chart was to be drawn, then the food will be represented by a total of 72 degrees. The last example now is on now school fees. Suppose now, see, they ask you, if an angle was to be drawn, if a pie chart was to be drawn, what angle would represent the school fees? In my case here now, the stem of the question, and I want you to understand this point. In each and every question, there must be a very important point that you must use that point to get the rest of the asked question. So in my case here now, the same stem I'm using everywhere. 100% is equivalent to 360 degrees. Then fees was 25. What about 25%? So that I get the degrees represented in school fees. So again, you do cross multiply. You say 25 multiplied by 360 over 100. 0 will go with 0. Then by 5 is 5. By 5 is 2. By 2, 1 by 2 is 18. 18 times 5 is 90 degrees. Is 90 degrees. So the angle represented by school fees will be 90 degrees. You have assignment to work out if a pie chart was to be drawn, how many degrees represent house rent and on transport. So you have D and the E as part of your assignment. So in your own assignment, I wish that you work out if a pie chart was to be drawn, what angle represent 1, the rent, then E, the transport. That is part of your assignment to see that you have understood at the end of my lesson. I want to go again and emphasize some points which are very common in exams. And I'm going to start with our own example in the class. Our own very example in the class, so that at your own time, you can also represent what you have. Assume you have many colors. You can also represent your colors in a pie chart. When you do an exam, you can also represent your total marks in a pie chart. Then you can also get what angle is representing mathematics. What angle is representing Kiswahili. So you can represent whatever you need in your daily life. Here we have very good question on one of us during our end of term examination. Abdi obtains the following marks in our end of term examination. This one is now Abdi. This is Abdi. What to present the marks, the scores scored by Abdi in our end of term examination in a pie chart. So now mathematics, Abdi got 50%. This is Abdi. Maths, he got 50%. Then we have English, we have Kiswahili, we have science, and we have social studies. We have to present all his marks in a pie chart. So Kiswahili, he got 70. Kiswahili, he got 70%. Then social studies 80%. Then English 40 and the science 60. And English 40 and the science 60. We want to present all this in a pie chart. If a pie chart was to be drawn, how much angle will present, for example, mathematics? These are the marks obtained by Abdi, one of our students who sits at the back in my class in each end of term examination. So now, for you to get to present all this in a pie chart, first you are supposed to get the total marks for Abdi. Let us get the total marks for Abdi, which is 50 added to 40, that's 90. 90 added to 70, that's 160. Added 60, 220. When you add to 80, you get a total of 300. So the total marks for Abdi is 300 marks. This is the total marks for Abdi for the end of term examination. Now, if a pie chart was to be drawn, what angle present mathematics? I've told you, you must reach somewhere where you equate. If the total marks of Abdi is 300, that means now 300 marks is equivalent to a total of 360 degrees. Why? Because what will present all its marks in a pie chart, and a pie chart has a total of 360 degrees. So all the marks should be equivalent to 360 degrees. That's why we say that 300 marks should be equal to 360 degrees. So now, what about the percentage of mathematics? What about 50%? To be how many degrees? Now, in my case here now, again, you cross multiply. You say 50 multiplied by 360 over 300. 2 zeros will go. Then, by 3, 1 will go only 12 times. 12 multiplied by 5 is 60 degrees. So, class, the amount of angles represented by mathematics in a pie chart will be only 60 degrees. Just get the total marks and equate the total marks with the total number of degrees in a pie chart. In my case here now, I have 300 should be equivalent to 360 degrees. Then what about 50%? When you cross multiply, then your answer remains 60 degrees, which is a very important point that you must understand. That is now mathematics. Another question now, if the angle, if a pie chart was to be drawn, then again, what angle would represent English? Let us now get the angle represented by degrees in a pie chart. So now we have the English now in a pie chart. The English of Abdi in a pie chart. So if a pie chart will be drawn, what angle would represent English? This is the last example on that. So be very much keen so that you understand. So the same stem that we used to solve the problem, we are going to solve it using the same issue. In my case here now, 300 total, that was the total marks, is equivalent to 360 degrees. Then again, what about the marks obtained in English? What about 40%? What about 40%? It will be how many degrees? And again, you just cross multiply, and you'll never have any problem in this. I believe when you follow my lesson keenly, you are understanding something. You are not just seated there at home, watching me for nothing. You should have you should be writing something so that you understand and the major point you indicate somewhere. So in my case here now, I have 40% times 360 divided by 300. In my case here now, I have 36 times 4, which is 144 degrees. That will be now the total number of degrees represented. We have, there is an error here. I have to simplify 2. Then by 3, 1, by 3 here will be 12. In my case here now, 12 multiplied by 4 is 48 degrees. So then the angle represented by English in a pie chart will be 48 degrees. Let me, now you are left with Kiswahili, science, and the social studies. That's part of your assignment. So in your own time, work out now, if a pie chart was drawn, what angle will be represented by Kiswahili? This is part C. Then D, what angle will be represented by science? Then the last question will be now, how much angle will be represented in social studies if a pie chart was to be drawn? That's a very good example you must understand. From there now, let me relate what I've taught to what is being tested in our final national exams so that we can also improve on our weak areas. Now, this one is a pie chart. This was added in the year 2017, question number 10. If a pie chart, this pie chart shows how Otieno spent his salary. If a salary was 18,000, how much more did he spend on education than on transport? Let me give a good example on a pie chart, because in the exam they can ask you, they can also give you a pie chart and you represent that information still in another form. So assume this one is a pie chart. Assume that one is a pie chart. We have education is 160 degrees. Assume now this one is education. Let education be 160 degrees. Then food 130. Let food be 130 degrees. Then transport you are not given. Transport you are not given. This one is an example of a pie chart. Now, if the total salary was 18,000, you are told if the total salary was 18,000, this is now total salary of Mr. Otieno was 18,000. That was the total salary. Then, this was the question. How much more money did he spend on education than on transport? I repeat again. How much more money did he spend on education than transport? Let us work out that problem so that you relate what I've taught and what is being tested nationally. In my case here now, I said you must have a single stem that you will derive all the answers from. If you are told the total salary is 18,000, mathematically and in terms of a pie chart, the total salary should be equivalent to the total number of degrees in a pie chart, which is 360 degrees. So how much more money did he spend on education than on transport? We should now come to our point now, because a pie chart must have a total of 360 degrees, and you are given education as 160 degrees, you are given food as 130 degrees. So you see now your work to get the degrees of transport. Now you have to get the degrees of transport, which is now 160 degrees for education, added to 130 degrees for food, then you get 290. Then you say 360 degrees, take away 290 to remain with only 7 degrees. So class, the degrees of transport should be 7 degrees. So that the total should add up now to 360 degrees. So now, listen to the question. How much more did he spend on education than in transport? When you look at education and transport, education was 160 degrees. Education, the degrees was 160 degrees. Then on transport, the degrees was 7 degrees. So if they ask you how many more money did he spend on education and transport, first get the difference in their degrees on education and transport, which is equivalent to 90 degrees. So if they ask you how much more, the same stem will guide you. So if 18,000 equal to this, what about 90 degrees? And make sure you write 9 degrees on the other side with 9 degrees. Be very keen. Examiners, they are very tricky. And it's as if they are also being schooled every day. Every day they bring new tricks. When you put 9 on this side, still your answer will also be in the choice. So be very keen. So here now we just cross multiply. You say 18,000 multiplied by 90 divided by 360, which is now 0 will go to 0. Then by 9, 1. By 9 will go 4 times. By 2 will go to 2. By 2 will go to 90. Then plus 2 zeros. Then by 2, 1. 9,000 divided by 2 is 4,500. In my case, now here is spending 4,500 shillings more on education than on transport. That's very much important for you to understand. Assignment. Assignment, you do at your own time wherever you are. Now, I'm going to give you an assignment for you to work out at your own time. Assume now this one is a pie chart. This one is a pie chart. This one is a pie chart. And this one was question number 47, the year 2005. This one is your assignment. A KCP question again. Very fast. You copy it somewhere so that you do it at your own time. This is boys who have 90%, 90 degrees. We have girls we are not taught. We don't know the degrees of girls. Then we have men, we have women is 80%. We have 80 degrees. This is women. And now we have men, which is only 40 degrees. Then men is 40 degrees. These are pie chart. Question number 47, the year 2005. Now, listen to the question. The population of the village is represented in a pie chart. This one is a Ulu village. If there were 300 girls, if there were 300 girls, if there were 300 girls now, how many more boys than men were there? How many more boys than men were there in the whole village? This pie chart is representing the number of people in a certain village. You are told if the total number of girls were 300, then how many more boys than men were there? Thank you very much. That is your personal assignment wherever you are. All the best. Have a nice weekend. Meet you again on Monday. Be safe. Stay safe. Thank you very much.